Awesome. Okay, now we are recording. So normally I do play music, but the site that we use is doing some maintenance. So it'll be more of a quieter class, but don't worry, I'll be talking. But that's okay. Sometimes it's really nice to have some silence, and sometimes it can be a little awkward as well. Because normally we don't sit in silence with ourselves and we get a lot of chatter in our head, but it's a nice opportunity to kind of expunge all of that chatter in our head, kind of finding some inner peace and quietness. So it's a nice little practice that we will do. Other than that, I think I have everything set up. So if you guys want to meet me on the mat, we're going to start in a nice seated position. You can do crisscross applesauce or come into an easy pose. You can always sit up on a block or a pillow if that feels better. And if this doesn't feel good on the knees or the hips in any way, you can always just have your legs straight out, whatever feels best to you. And then, oh, awesome, my introduction. So my name is Amanda. I'm one of the yoga instructors. My rule of thumb in my class is that you are not obligated to do any of these poses or sequences. If something doesn't feel right in the body, just either modify, ease back, or you don't have to do it at all. Yoga really isn't about a specific pose, but just following your breath, honoring your body wherever it is in this very moment. So once you come to a nice, comfortable seat, just grounding the sit bones down in the ground, maybe sway a little side to side. Begin to gently close the eyes or let the gaze be nice and heavy on the ground, whatever is comfortable to you. So whether you have some pent-up energy, either coming from class or from work or just your, daily morning routine, starting to really ease into some stillness. So really being gentle with the body. And then maybe after you sway a little side to side, we'll begin to lengthen with each breath, lengthening the spine all the way to the crown of the head, just a bit more. And then settling the shoulders down the spine, settling the sit bones into the ground, letting the hands just gently rest on top of the knees. And then we'll take a big breath in through the nose. Nice exhale out the mouth. And just begin to observe the breath. Just notice it. If it is short and shallow, just intentionally see if you can deepen and lengthen each breath. Maybe do a quick little body scan, see if there's any tension lingering around in the body. And if it is, just using that breath, sending it to any areas of tension, see if you can let go of it a bit more, soften a bit. With every inhale, you feel the body expand just a bit more, creating space. And then with every exhale, you feel a little more settling, moving into that space that you just created. Now I know, like I said, normally we have some nice peaceful music playing in the background, but today, having a little more silence, and we get this chatter in our mind, our to-do list, so what am I going to do after the class, what do I need to do for dinner, and so on. But see if you can just pay attention to the breath, noticing the inhales, and then noticing the exhales. So trying not to focus on what happened earlier today or lingering in the past, and not thinking too forward in the future, not having any anxieties about that. But again, coming back to that breath, coming back to this present moment with yourself. And then if it does resonate with you, you can set an intention for your practice. It can be a positive affirmation, or maybe it's releasing something that no longer serves or benefits you. Spring is just around the corner, so that always is new opportunities, new season. So if there's anything that you do need to let go, maybe it's something that you did need last week but it no longer serves you, and just letting it go, letting new things come into your life that is needed. And we'll just let that sink in for one more moment. And then we'll take a full breath in through the nose. Nice exhale out the mouth. Begin to take the chin towards the chest, and we'll slowly roll the neck to the right, towards the back, to the left, and all the way back to the front again, nice and easy. And then just reversing it really slow, working out any kinks or tension that might be lingering in the neck and the shoulders. Once the chin meets the chest again, we're going to slowly blink the eyes open, nice and easy, and then inhale the gaze all the way towards the front. On your next breath in, we'll lift the arms all the way up, gaze looks in between the thumbs, and then exhale, let the energy go. A couple more times. Inhale, sweep the arms up, and then exhale, float the hands down. One more time. Inhale, really root the sit bones down, but lengthen all the way up to the crown of the head, towards the fingertips, lengthen, and then exhale, let it go. We'll just lean over to the right side, placing the fingertips or palm down. You can always use a block if you can't reach. And then we'll inhale that left arm all the way up. Again, gaze is looking at the fingertips, reaching nice and long. On the exhale, maybe lean it over a bit more, arcing that top arm overhead. And again, still rooting that left sit bone into the ground, feeling that full side body stretch. And we'll take one more breath in. On the breath out, we'll inhale all the way up, and then exhale, just lean it towards the other side, lift that top arm up, lengthening, and then exhale, settling down, reaching the top arm overhead as far as it feels comfortable. If you feel any sharp pain, just backing off, no big deal. And just feeling that opening in that side body in between the intercostal muscles of the ribs, just opening up, expanding. We'll inhale. On the exhale, this time, we're going to sweep that right arm in front of us, like sweep it across the floor. And it doesn't even have to be that far. It can just be right here, finding your range of motion. And then we'll sweep that left arm all the way up, maybe a little back bend at the top, looking over that left shoulder. And then nice and slow, we'll sweep that left hand across the front, bringing that right arm along with us, opening up the chest and shoulder just a bit. So we're just going to flow through this just a few times with your own breath. You can follow me or even close your eyes. Move as slow as it feels good in the body, just opening up nice and easy. Creating space, expansion in the body while also lengthening, working out any tension. And wherever you are, just a couple more times, no rush. Just being guided by the breath. Wherever you are, we'll inhale that top arm all the way up. And then bring both hands along towards top, lengthening. And then exhale, this time we'll spin around to the right, left fingertips on top of that right knee, and then right fingertips right in the back of you. We'll inhale, lengthen up the spine. And then exhale, begin to twist just a little more to the right, nothing too deep. And again, we'll inhale one more time. And exhale, maybe just a centimeter more. And then exhale, coming all the way back towards center. And we'll inhale the arms up. Exhale, spinning around to the left this time. Inhale, lengthen up. And then exhale, begin to spin around just a bit. Last time, nice big inhale, lengthen up the spine. And then exhale, maybe moving into that space that you just created. And then we'll come all the way back to center. So take the fingertips behind you, and then pressing down through the ground, we'll inhale, press the chest up, look up towards the ceiling. If you have the space, you can even lift the hips up an inch or two, opening up the front side of the body a bit more. And then we'll settle it back down. Take the hands in front of you, walk them out. If this is as far as it is, just leave it here. If you do have the space, you can always walk the arms down to the forearms, or if you have a block or a pillow, you can just place it here. And just take the chin towards the chest. Maybe even close the eyes again or let them be nice and heavy. Sway a little side to side. And coming back to that big inhale and deeper exhale. Let the low back release, let the hips open up just a bit more. So staying here for just a couple more breaths. Again, if you have the space and you want to, maybe exploring off to the left, see what's going on that side. And then walking your hands around to the right again, seeing what's going on this side of the body. And then we'll all meet back up towards the middle. We'll take one breath in, one breath out. At the bottom of the exhale, we'll slowly press our fingertips into the ground, coming all the way back up. So you can roll gently over your knees or just come to a side seat, and we'll all meet up into a tabletop position. So shoulders right on top of the wrist and hips on top of the knees, fingertips spread nice and wide. Gaze is looking straight down. On your next breath, then we'll lower the belly, open up the chest, and the gaze looks up. Exhale, begin to round the upper back, belly to spine, chin to chest. And again, we'll inhale, open up the chest through the arms, tailbone points up. And then exhale, really press into the ground, doming the upper back. Last time, we'll inhale for a cow pose. Exhale to a cat back. And then coming back to a nice neutral spine, we'll inhale, begin to look around to your right pinky toes. So just moving the spine in a different direction. And then we'll inhale back towards center. And then exhale, begin to lean to the left side, looking over towards those left pinky toe. And then coming all the way back to a nice neutral spine. We're going to tuck the toes under, again, spreading the fingertips nice and wide. We'll really begin to engage that core and begin to press into the ground, almost like you're doing a cat back. Keep that nice tight core, and we'll just gently hover the knees over the mat, just warming up the core just for a breath or two. Calm breath in. Calm breath out. When you're ready, we'll lift the hips all the way up and back, keeping the knees nice and bent at first, really pulling the chest through the arms. Again, pressing down through all 10 fingertips and sending the tailbone up towards the sky. When you're ready, we'll inhale up onto the tippy toes. Exhale, begin to bend one knee, straighten out the other. And again, coming back up onto the tippy toes and then straightening and bending the opposite. We'll just play around with that for a little bit, really focusing on opening up the hamstrings, the back of the legs, just feeling really gentle with yourself. It's probably your first inversion of the day, so just taking it nice and easy. And we'll find a little stillness. Still place a nice little bend in your knees, and we're just going to roll out into a plank pose just for a moment. So if you had to move your wrist or your feet a little bit, that means your stance was a little too short or a little too long for your downward facing dog. But a good rule of thumb is we'll start from plank pose and then begin to lift the hips all the way up and back. And this should be about the length and stance of your downward facing dog. So gaze is looking straight in between the feet or the calves. Head and neck are nice and soft, maybe just shaking it out a bit. When you're ready, we'll inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat, and then exhale, begin to slowly step all the way to the top. Still getting into the backs of the legs. Once you make it over there, just bowing forward over the legs. Grabbing onto opposite elbows if that feels good. Swaying a little side to side in ragdoll.
letting the upper back, the shoulders, head and neck just be nice and heavy, letting gravity just pull all that tension away. And then we'll take the fingertips back to the ground, keeping the head nice and heavy. We'll slowly roll up, one vertebrae at a time. Once you make your way up, roll the shoulders down the spine. We'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Full breath in, full breath out. Hands come next down to your side into mountain pose. And we'll inhale, slight bend in the knees, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, leading with your chest, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift, hands can be on the shins or top of the thighs. And then exhale, forward fold. Twice more, inhale, lifting the heart, nice flat back. And then exhale, forward fold. Last time, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, and we'll just step back to our plank pose. So stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower the knees down, bend the elbows, graze the rib cage, and flatten the feet onto the mat. So imagine a magnet from the chin towards the chest, lengthening out the back of the neck. We'll inhale, lift the chest up just a bit, and then exhale down. Inhale maybe a little higher for our cobra, and then exhale down. Last time, inhale maybe to a full cobra if that feels good, engaging the glutes at the top. And then exhale down with control. We'll tuck the toes under and then lift the knees off the ground, or you can keep them down if you need to. And we'll press ourselves up into a plank pose. Exhale the hips all the way up and back, downward facing dog. And again, just pedaling out the feet, still working the backs of the legs. And then maybe still find a little stillness in the legs and draw your focus to your hands. So again, fingertips are spread nice and wide, and feel as if your hands are twisting or pulling towards the outside of the mat, like you're opening up jars, but still planted into the ground. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat, slight bend in the knees, and we'll slowly walk ourselves all the way up towards the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, begin to slowly roll up, one notch at a time. Roll the shoulders down the spine. Inhale, the arms up. Exhale, this time we'll hinge up, hips, swan dive down right away. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, sitting back to plank pose. Stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower the knees down, bend the elbows, graze the rib cage all the way down to the belly. Inhale to cobra. And if you have the space, you can press into the tops of the feet and lift the hips and the tops of the thighs off the ground for upward facing dog. And then we'll all meet back into a downward facing dog. Staying here for one breath in. One breath out. Inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat. This time, maybe see if you can take a nice big step all the way to the top. Inhale, lift the heart. And then exhale, melt it down. This time, we'll inhale, root to rise all the way to standing, lifting the arms, lifting the gaze. Exhale, hands find a heart prayer. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, stepping back to plank pose. Stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower down halfway or all the way, your choice. Inhale for cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale all the way back, downward facing dog. And we'll just stay here for 3 rounds of passive breathing here. You can always come down into child's pose if you need more of a breather. But here we are in our active resting pose. And we'll do one more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat. Exhale, stepping all the way to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, begin to stand all the way to the top, lifting the arms. Exhale, hands find a heart center. So we'll just stay in this pose just for a few breaths. Maybe even close the eyes. Kind of play with your center of gravity here. And begin to take the focus to the balls of the feet. So you're really rooting down into the earth. And then start to make your way up the legs. So really engaging the quads, even slight engagement in the glutes. And then that engagement into the core, rolling the shoulders down the spine. And even your hands at heart center, having that equal pressure right into left and left into right. And then plugging the thumbs up into the sternum, grabbing a hold of that heartbeat. And if you do grab a hold of it, just knowing that that's pretty cool. That we are alive here on our mats today in this very moment. Just feeling that life, that prana, that energy just flowing through us. And we'll take a nice big cleansing breath in through the nose. Exhale, let it out. Twice more, big inhale. Bigger exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale, let it go. Beautiful. So we'll inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down and we'll step back to our plank pose. Stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower down. Inhale for cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale all the way back, downward facing. So on your next breath in, we're going to lift that left leg all the way up. Point the toes facing down towards the ground, flexing that back foot like you're pressing it against that back wall. Stay here if this is enough, or if it feels good, begin to open up that left hip. Left hip stacks right on top of the right. Maybe bend that left knee, getting that left heel close to the glutes. And then rolling out the ankle, maybe circling open the hip just a couple of times. We'll inhale, straighten out that leg. Exhale, begin to take that knee towards the nose, hold. Inhale that left leg back up. Exhale, knee to nose again, holding for one breath. Last time, we'll inhale, sweep that left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose or knee to chest, pull that left foot through the hands. And then we'll gently lower the back knee down to the ground, flatten that back foot. So again, if you do have blocks or books or even pillows, you can take them here and bringing the floor to you. Again, if you don't have it, no worries, just staying here. If it feels good, you can take your hands up onto that knee. Or if it feels good, just bringing the arms all the way up. So just bringing a little awareness to your pelvis, and instead of just dumping into the low back, which doesn't feel good, again, really straightening up the torso, letting the tailbone point straight down. And then begin to slowly lower in, opening up that front side of that right hip. And we'll take one breath in, one breath out. Begin to take the hands towards the ground, and we're just going to shift our hips over that right knee, and then flexing that left foot. So coming into this half split or runner stretch, really getting into the backs of the leg. If you need to, you can always place a nice bend in that front knee if that's too much of a strain or stretch in that left leg. And we'll inhale, straighten out the spine just a bit more. If you have the space, exhale, maybe just taking the chest towards the leg just an inch more. And when you're ready, we'll inhale, begin to roll all the way towards the front. Inhale up. Exhale, take the hands back down and coming back into that half split. Couple more times. Inhale forward, fingertips can stay down or lift all the way up. And then exhale, coming down, coming into that half split. Beautiful. So we'll come into our low crescent pose. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Keep that right hand down on the ground, or you can even take a block or a book,
placing it there for support. And we'll inhale, lift that left arm up, twisting from the belly. Full breath in, full breath out. We'll switch and take that left hand where the right hand is. Inhale that right arm up, and then we'll come all the way up into our warrior two. So you might have to adjust your stance a bit. You can always make it shorter, and that'll be less tension on the hips, or you can make it a little wider, feeling more of a stretch in the hips. But as long as your front heel is in line with that back arch, and just noticing that front knee, stacking it right on top of the ankle or a little behind, just not in front. That doesn't feel too good on the knee. But we'll inhale, lifting the arms nice and long, gaze is looking past those fingertips. And maybe softening the brows just a bit here. On your next breath in, we'll straighten up that left leg, lift all the way up. Exhale, settle down, warrior two. Couple more times. Inhale up, nice and controlled. And then exhale, settling down, warrior two. Last time, the inhale will lift you up. And the exhale will bring you down. On your next breath in, we'll tip it back, reverse warrior. And then exhale, coming over to the front side, extended side angle. Forearm right on top of that thigh, really pressing down, creating more space between the ear and the shoulder. If it feels good and you have the space already, you can take that right arm, maybe place it to your low back, looking over the shoulder, or maybe that right hand finds that left hip crease. And just staying here again for one more calm breath in and one calm breath out. If your arm or right arm is behind you, we'll inhale all the way up. And then exhale, coming back to that warrior two. Inhale, reverse again. And then straighten out that front leg, reverse triangle. Inhale all the way back up towards center. Exhale, slide the hips towards the back. And then the left hand comes down maybe to the thigh. If you have the room or space, it can come down to the calf or even down to the floor or onto a block. But begin to bring awareness again to that side body. Are you crunching in? It doesn't really feel good, but really lengthening up, lengthening that side body. Again, think about what feels good in the body and not doing what you think you should be doing. So we just want to create length, create space in our poses, even in our normal lives. We don't want to create tension because that never feels good. So we'll take one more breath in, one more breath out. Inhale all the way back up to center. This time we're going to take those front toes and just come onto the right. Inhale the arms up, and then exhale, begin to bend both knees. Coming into goddess pose, hands find a heart center. So you can sway a little side to side. You don't even have to be that low. You can be up here, whatever feels good in the hips right now. Knees are really pressing back. Again, try not to have them knock in, but really engaging the quads, externally rotating them. And again, we'll just breathe here. And with every breath, you might feel a little more space created and then maybe dropping in just a bit more. Again, no forcing any particular poses, just seeing what's going on in the body. We'll take the hands on top of the thighs. We'll inhale the chest up. Exhale, begin to gently drop that right shoulder in. And then inhale all the way back, lengthening up the spine. And then exhale, dropping that left shoulder in. And then coming back up, taking the hands or fingertips towards the ground. We'll straighten up the legs. And toes are pointing a little towards midline. Lengthening out the spine, this might be enough. Or even taking the hands to the hips or to the tops of the thighs, that might be enough. If you do have the space, maybe dropping the chest down just a bit more. You can always bend your knees if you need to, but if you really want to get the lengthening of the backs of the legs, just finding your range of motion. Again, no pushing, no forcing into any particular pose. We'll breathe here for one more breath in. One more breath out. And we'll just gently walk the hands towards the front of the mat, low lunge. Left foot meets the right. You can go straight into downward facing dog or take your flow. And we'll all meet back up into a downward facing dog. And we'll breathe here for 2 more breaths. Full breath in. Full breath out. When you're ready, we'll inhale that right leg up. Flex the right toes, pointing them down. And that means your leg might not be that too far from the ground, and that's okay. Flexibility will come over in time to lift that foot up just a bit more. So when you're ready, we'll open up the hip, right hip stacks on top of the left, and that knee that feels good, rolling out the ankle, circling out the hip. Inhale, straighten up the leg. Exhale, knee to nose or knee to chest, hold. Inhale, sweep that right leg up. Exhale, knee to chest, knee to nose, hold. Beautiful. We'll inhale it up one more time. Exhale, knee to nose or knee to chest. Pull that right foot in between the hands, low lunge. We'll gently drop that back knee, flatten that back foot. And again, just like before, if you need to take blocks on either side, you can do that. Maybe walk the hands up on top of that front knee. Or inhale the arms all the way up, bringing awareness to that torso, to that tailbone again, and then slowly dropping down into the hip with every breath. Calm breath in. Calm breath out. Take the fingertips down to the ground, and we'll shift the hips over that back knee, and then flexing the right toes towards the sky, lengthening out the back of that right leg. Inhale, begin to straighten out the spine a bit more, and that might be enough. If you do have the space, exhale, maybe taking the chest just a little bit closer to that leg. Again, any sharp pains, just backing off, just finding a little bit of length. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, roll it up towards the front. Fingertips can stay on the ground, or inhale them all the way up. Exhale, taking it back down and coming into our half split. One more round. We'll inhale towards the front. Maybe inhale the hands all the way up. And then exhale, take the fingertips down, and then shifting back into our half split. This time we'll roll up towards the front, and then tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, place that left hand down onto the mat, twisting from the belly. Inhale that right arm all the way up. Exhale, take that right hand, switch it with the left, spin that back heel down on the ground. We'll inhale that left arm up and pressing down through the legs, coming all the way up, warrior 2. And again, checking in with your stance, heel in line with that back arch. Knees stacking right on top of the ankle or a little behind. Arms are nice and long. And then soft gaze over the right fingertips. When you're ready, we'll inhale, begin to straighten up that front knee, lift all the way up. Exhale down, warrior 2. Twice more. Inhale up with control. Exhale, settling down. Last time, the inhales will lift you up. And the exhale will settle you down to that space. On your next breath in, we'll tip it back, reverse. Exhale, coming over to the front side. Forearm meets on top of that right thigh. Inhale that left arm up, and exhale, maybe extending it overhead. And again, each side is a little different. So maybe the left arm can find the lower back. Maybe you can find that right hip crease. Just all we're doing is just opening up that left shoulder, opening up the chest a bit more. Especially when we're sitting all day, sometimes we tend to round in the shoulders, but we're just trying to open it up. If your left hand is behind you, we'll inhale it up. And then exhale, we'll all meet up into a warrior 2. Tilt it back, reverse. Straighten up that front leg, reverse triangle. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, slide those hips back. Right hand comes down to the thigh, maybe the calf, or onto the block, or onto the floor. But again, really lengthening that side body. not crunching in, but really finding length. And we'll stay here for a full breath in, full breath out. Inhale all the way back up towards center and take the right toes over towards the left. Inhale up and then exhale, bending the knees, coming down into Goddess Pose. Belly will face you for this one. And then hands find a heart center. And again, maybe swaying a little side to side. And since we already did this once, you might find that your hip flexors are open up just a bit more. So coming down maybe an inch or two more than the last time. But again, if not, no worries. So we'll stay here, maybe even close the eyes. Just refocusing yourself, refocusing your breath. And then when you're ready, we'll take the hands on top of the thighs again. Inhale, the chest lengthen. Exhale, dropping that left shoulder down. Inhale up, and then exhale, dropping that right shoulder down. Inhale up, take the fingertips towards the ground, straighten out the legs again. So again, staying here, lengthening out. Or exhale, maybe dropping the chest down just a bit more. As long as you find length in the back of the legs and you're able to breathe, then you're doing it right. And we'll stay here for a calm breath in, calm breath out. And then we'll begin to walk our hands over to the right, coming into a nice low lunge. Right foot meets the left, going straight into downward facing dog, or take your flow. Meeting up into a downward facing dog. So we'll take 3 rounds of breath here again. You can always come down into child pose if you need more of a passive breathing. Big inhale in. Longer exhale out. If you are in a child's pose, just meeting back into a downward facing dog. When you're ready, we'll inhale that left leg up. Exhale, this time that left knee meets the left elbow, and then we'll place that left foot on the outside of the left hand, coming into lizard pose. So this might be enough. Maybe dropping the back knee down, flattening the back foot. If you do have a pillow or blocks, you can always take your hands on top of it, giving you a little more space, or you can even drop your forearms down, even rolling onto the outside of that left foot if it feels good. And just letting the head and neck be nice and soft. Really sending that breath down into the left hip to open up. And then when you're ready, we'll walk our hands all the way back up, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. And then we'll just walk our left foot over towards the right and coming down into pigeon pose. So your knee is bent right in front of that left hip or off to the side. If this is too much, you can always place a pillow or block underneath that left sit bone. Or if that still is not comfortable, you can always come into a seated figure 4 or even a reclined figure 4. You'll still get a great stretch in the hip flexors. We're only going to stay here just for a breath or two. Just really releasing into the hip. When you're ready, we'll tuck the back toes and begin to press down into the hands. Take that knee, coming into a plank pose, lift the hips all the way back up, downward facing dog. And we'll just switch to the right side. Right leg lifts, then right knee comes to the right elbow, right foot onto the outside of the right hand. Drop the knee, flatten the back foot, coming into that lizard pose just for a couple of breaths. So we're going to go into our pigeon pose. If you do just want to stay in the lizard pose because maybe that feels better, you're more than welcome to do that, or coming into that reclined or seated figure 4. If you're with me, you can just scooch that right foot over to the left. Right knee comes down, hips come down, and again, you can always place a block or a pillow underneath to give you a little more leverage. But again, we're going to just stay here just for a couple of breaths. Since we did all those hip openers in the beginning, just coming into this final one, which is a really deep stretch for our hips. This is really important, especially since most of us, whether it's in class or for work, we're sitting a lot. So our hip flexors are always just in one direction, and we're just trying to open them up, find a little more space in there. So when you're ready, we'll take one more breath in, one more breath out. If you're in Pigeon Pose, we'll just come on to the right side and then slowly and carefully swing that left foot around. And then just taking both legs out in front of us, grabbing a hold of the backs of the legs and slowly rolling down onto our backs. And then just grab a hold of that right shin, really bringing it in towards the chest, pulling and flexing the foot. You can always grab onto the back of the thigh if that's more accessible. And then taking the right arm out into a half T, we'll slowly begin to twist over to the left. Gaze is looking over towards the right fingertips. And we'll take a full breath in, full breath out. Taking that right knee back into the chest, give it a nice good squeeze, and then gently sending it back down to meet the left. And then we'll go ahead, bend that left knee, bring it into the chest, whether it's from the shin or the back of the leg, pointing and flexing the foot, rolling out a couple of times, taking that left arm out into a half T, and then gently twisting over to the right. Gaze is looking over towards the left fingertips. And take a nice big belly breath in, so expanding the belly, nice and big. And then exhale, let it go. Twists are so nice for detoxing and just kind of like an internal organ massage. So just relaxing here for another breath. When you're ready, we'll take that knee back in towards midline. A last good squeeze. And then we'll send that left leg down to meet the right, coming into our final resting pose, Shavasana. If your low back or even hips feel like they're not ready to fully come into just a laying down pose, you can always bend the knees, take the feet out a little wider than hip width, and let the knees drop towards midline. It's a really nice reset for the low back and for the hips if you need to. So whatever pose you are in, begin to close the eyes, let the hands just draw right next to your hips, and then palms facing up. Tuck the chin in just a centimeter in, so you lengthen out the back of the neck onto the ground. And we'll take a nice big inhale through the belly, through the chest, through the throat. Pause. And then exhale, emptying it out, throat, chest, belly. Begin to relax the toes, the soles of the feet and the ankles. Relaxing the calves, the knees, and the tops of the thighs. Softening the hips and the pelvis. And then letting this peaceful sensation flow all the way up through the spine, into the belly, into the chest. Melting the shoulders down into the earth. And relaxing the arms all the way down to the fingertips, letting them naturally curl in. Releasing any tension you may have left in your jaw. And softening the space between your brows. Letting your thoughts and mind become weightless as you sink and surrender to the earth. When you're ready, slowly coming back to the room, back to your body, back to your natural pace of breath and heartbeat, wiggling out the toes and the fingertips, and then maybe taking a nice big stretch like you're waking up in the morning. If it feels good, rolling over to your favorite side into Fetal Pose. Once you make your way there, taking a nice full breath in, full breath out. At the bottom of the exhale, slowly begin to press yourself all the way up to a comfortable seat, keeping the eyes closed or heavy. And then once you settle in, just taking the hands to heart center, bowing the chin in gratitude. Gratitude for taking not only this time for yourself, but for your practice. And I thank you just for showing up today, because that is so hard in itself, but even for putting in the work, which is even harder. And I thank you as your mind, body, and heart, thank you as well. I hope you all feel a little more brighter, a little more stronger, and a little more at peace. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste. Well, thank you everyone for coming out today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, beautiful rest of the week. Enjoy the weekend, get some vitamin D, and I hope to see you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Daryl.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye, Jason.
Bye, Jeff. Bye, everyone.